Okay, guys, I'm going to use this opportunity to shoot a little bit about the drum kit. I just got this Droid phone and I'm trying out the camera, so I thought I would kill two birds with one stone and talk a little bit about the gear that I'm using and a little bit about the new projects that I'm involved in. So, this is the current configuration that I am using in the band that I'm involved in called Question Everything. And as you can tell, it's a fairly simple setup. I'm going through sort of a minimalistic kind of Zen thing right now. And this is a kit that really works for me. And you'll notice it has very much a hip hop feel to it in the way that it is set up and in the size of the kit. And it's a PDP concept kit. And as you can see here, I've got an 18-inch bass drum with a Remo Power Stroke on the back and a stock PDP head on the front. And you can see that I haven't installed a kick port, which is an absolutely fantastic little invention that you can insert into your bass drum head to give it that extra oomph. It really improves the sustain and the resonance of the drum, and it really makes this little 18-inch bass drum sound more like a 20-inch or a 22. So if you have the opportunity and you can afford the real estate, definitely look into getting yourself a kick port. I'm very excited because I've got my friend Dominic Tancredi at woodshedstageart.com who does the bass drum heads for all the big bands out there, currently working with me on a design for a custom bass drum head that is going to actually have a Fox sort of neon glow to it with the Question Everything logo. So I'm really, really excited about that. Coming around the backside, you'll see that this is really a three-piece kit. Once again, very simple, kind of meets all of the needs that I have right now. This is a PDP 13-inch snare. It's a wooden snare. It has a stock PDP on top, of course, that has the Question Everything logo on it, and it's got a Remo Clear Ambassador on the bottom. And this is just an outstanding snare drum. It's got a tremendous pop to it, but I can also do some really cool sort of Raz playing on it with the rudimental and marching kind of stuff that I do. Now, I am in the process of getting a marching snare drum, which I'm going to actually add as a second snare to this kit. But right now, this one fulfills everything that I want to do, whether it's sort of the punky, new wave kind of drumming, or even the jazz and big band swing kind of stuff that I'm experimenting with. Over here, I have a 14-inch PDP floor tom. I've got an Evans Dead Ringer on top for some recording purposes, but I usually use Remo coated ambassadors, coated emperors. The vintage on top and the clear ambassadors on the bottom. And if you look down here, you'll see that I use a wonderful little invention called a booty shaker, which is basically a foam foot that the feet of your floor tom fit into. And what this wonderful little invention does is it prevents the sort of ring and sustain of the tom from being absorbed by the floor. So it really preserves that natural sound and that natural tone that's produced by that tom. It's a very simple invention, but it's absolutely brilliant. And I don't usually get into anything that's kind of gimmicky as far as drum stuff, but this is something that clearly works. So just as like I recommended the kick port, I definitely recommend the booty shakers if you have the opportunity to pick those up. I do use an electronic pad. This is an Alesis perk pad. I've got 25 instruments that come with this. Full control over the tuning, the reverb, the sustain, the pan, and I can also use this for MIDI triggering. I use it primarily as supplemental percussion, timbales, some cowbell configurations, and some interesting electronic toms are usually what I use. As far as pedals, I use Mapex. This is a Raptor. This is actually a double bass pedal that has been disassembled. Kind of pride myself on my bass drum foot, so I don't use double bass pedals. And this is a great pedal, very economical when compared to the cost of some of the other ones, the Iron Cobras and things of that like. And it's just got a lot of great power. I use a heavy beater mallet on there, and you can see the Remo Kevlar pad on the Power Stroke head. Over here, I've got a Goombops tambourine, which is great. I use it all the time. It's a wonderful accent that I use in addition to the hi-hats. I use Meinl and Sabian cymbals. This is the hi-hat configuration that I'm currently using. It's 16-inch, and it's actually made up of two 16-inch MCS heavy crash cymbals. And if you look down here on the floor, you'll see I've got a full set of Meinl's 20-inch, 18-inch, and 14-inch, but this is really the only ones that I'm using now. And this is a really great hi-hat configuration. I can get some great swish and swing out of it and a lot of power for the heavier stuff that I'm doing. Over here, the only two cymbals that I use, currently using Sabians. These were both courtesy of my buddy Rich Redman. This is a Sabian XS Rock Crash. It's an 18-inch. I currently use it as both a ride and a crash. And then next to that, I'm using a 12-inch Sabian China Boy for effects. And, you know, much like the minimalistic configuration I have for the drums, I also have the same minimalistic configuration for my cymbals. Stick-wise, I actually use two different kinds of sticks. For the heavier stuff, I use the Pro Marks. This is in a Millennium 2. I think it's comparable to a 2B. It's a real heavy stick. Feels wonderful in my hand as far as balance, and is great when I'm doing a lot of the sort of the rudimental kind of marching drumming that I like to incorporate in my playing. And for the more jazzy, more finesse-oriented playing, I use the Vic Firth. This is an American Classic 5AN with a plastic tip. It's a much lighter stick. Used for, as I said, more finesse type playing. Now, what's interesting is, and this bodes in regards to the experimental drumming that I do with Question Everything, a lot of times I will actually use two different sticks. I will use a lighter stick on the cymbals if I'm doing some swing, and I will use the heavier stick for the backbeat. And it goes against all the conventions that I have been taught, but it enables me to really bring out a different kind of sound by actually using two different kinds of sticks. Currently running my Alessis pad into a Fender bass amp. This, of course, gets hooked into the PA, but for practicing purposes, Fender bass amp is what I'm using. As far as heads, as I mentioned, Remo vintage coated Emperors on top and clear Ambassadors on the bottom. Trying to think what else. Basically, been doing a lot of recording, a lot of loop programming, using Forte drum machine, and also the GarageBand software, sort of putting things together. Actually, I think I've got something on my iPhone here that I can play for you, give you an idea of really the kind of stuff that I'm putting together for Question Everything. This is an example of a programmatic loop of a techno bass, which using to sort of run in the background. Okay. And then, of course, we record acoustic drums and layer those together. And what you get is a backing track that sounds like this. Very solid groove, just doing a very simple sort of snare fill. The software allows you to equalize and set the balance really nice. And then, of course, this digital track is sent to the guitarist, who is in the process right now of doing his part of composing. And then whenever we do that song live, we'll probably run that techno bass in the background on a loop. And I will be playing the acoustic drum parts, of course, live. And the guitarist will be playing on top of that. So that's basically my setup. That's an example of some of the stuff that I've been recording lately. Very simple, very groove oriented. This whole minimalistic idea with the drum set is something that I feel like I've been searching for a very long time, and I finally found it. It's totally redefined the way that I compose drum parts. It's redefined my style. It's really enabled me to sort of find myself as a drummer. And I've been playing drums since I was in middle school, so it's wonderful to feel that after years and years of trial and error, I've really sort of come up with a system and a setup that really works for me. And it's really made me excited about the instrument. It's made me excited about drumming in general. I'm tremendously excited about the Question Everything project, which I'm involved in with two of the founding members of The Drowning, Maroon David on vocals and Rich Petrucci, who's just an absolutely phenomenal guitar player. And we are just working long distance on writing some really, really neat kind of music that's a blend of classic and modern, and it's punk, it's new wave, it's jazz, it's swing, it's something like you've never heard before, because we've sort of cast away all of our inhibitions and we're calling upon all the different styles that we've played over the years and trying to come up with something that's truly original. Once again, this whole drum zen thing, I think you reach that when you have more drums in a pile and on the floor than you actually have set up. And this has really come down to my new philosophy, which is more creativity can be found in less opportunity. And this has forced me to totally redefine the way that I approach the drums and the way that I play. And my grooves are more solid and my fills are more purposeful. And I seem to be playing less, and yet I'm communicating more musically. So that's just a real quick overview. It doesn't take a long time to go over a setup as simple as mine, but I wanted to try out this camera and talk a little bit about my toys. So I hope you enjoyed it, and keep an eye out for Question Everything. We look forward to sharing some music with you in the very near future.